Welcome to Healing Highs with Laura, where we talk about the highlights and serendipitous moments of our healing journeys. I'm your host, Laura, an international energy healer for animals and humans. Thank you for being here. I love sharing these stories with you. Welcome, everyone. I am so honored to share this space with you with our guest today. Today we have Bird Mejia. She is the first in 500 years in her indigenous Mexican lineage who can safely say that she works as a medicine woman, a mentor, a guide. When she and I talked the other day, something that stood out to me is something that you said was that you are a vehicle of love. And I just think that's such a beautiful energy for our podcast to begin on, that people can feel that with you. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. What I wanted to start out with saying is that if you're watching this, like, it's not a coincidence. And we all are remembering, we all come from peoples that were connected to the earth, to each other, to our hearts. And it's awakening within you. So when I say, like, I have lots of different lineages. I've got like 15 different lineages in my DNA. One of my lineages is indigenous from Mexico, and I am remembering. So one of their powerful medicines that they had was they worked with cacao, and cacao is a really powerful heart opener. So because they communed with cacao for such a long time, their specialty was around the heart. So that's the one that really powerfully right now is coming to me. But like, if you're watching this, remember that it's all of us come from people, and you have beautiful medicine. I call it medicine, your gifts, to help with the movement forward in this world.
Yes. Thank you for just starting us off right away with some really incredible words. And we need to hear that. We need to remember we have it all within us. We have to remember, we have to connect with our ancestral wisdom, the earth's wisdom, and bring forth what our shape of it is going to be and how we offer it. I also sit with cacao. It is such a heart opener. I love doing a heart healing chant with it to really heal my own heart healing, but also connecting with the ancestors, allowing them healing through that, the collective energy. I love That's like one of my favorite things to do and offer. So I'm glad that you already brought that into the space. What is it that drew you? I know it's a heart opener, but how did you come to start working with the cacao spirit?
My ancestors actually brought me to cacao. I actually went to a ceremony years ago with a woman that was not of the lineage, and it wasn't that she was not a lineage, but I just didn't get it. I was just like, I don't get this. This is weird. So I just wasn't into it. And somebody approached me a few years ago on Instagram, and they were doing a retreat, a women's retreat in Sedona, and said, we're interested in having you do cacao. And, my head's like, I don't do cacao. And my ancestors come through me with messages. And all of a sudden I heard a really strong message that said, you're going to do cacao, you're going to do the ceremony. And I was like, what? And then, when I started researching and finding, I wanted to get, ethically sourced cacao. And I found where I get my cacao, Cocaleca Collective, and they source it from Mexico. And that was important to me for my lineage. And then I started studying it. I went to Guatemala actually with them and studied with the elders there. And my ancestors told me when I was flying out there, I said, why aren't you sending me to Mexico instead of, and what I was told was that you're going to experience what it felt like for your ancestors. It's hard. And Mexico has been so colonized, it's hard to access that so much. So that's exactly what I experienced. It was the most powerful ancestral remembrance for me. But for me, it was like my ancestors brought me back full circle with Cacao, because this was my understanding is that they were really powerful in the medicine for the heart. And it's interesting because years ago, when I was still beginning in my healing journey, my background, like I was in an emotionally abusive marriage for a long time, and a lot of heartbreak. I had the twin flame and the soulmate, like all this heartbreak. And so the first thing that I did was created a Healing Your Heart program that I still have. That's really powerful and beautiful. But I met with somebody and I received this message to do this, what I call now, it's called the Healing Your Heart ritual. And I teach my students this. It didn't come from me. I was spoken. I was told, when you meet this person, you're going to do this. And I was like, what? I don't want to do that. But it's one of my practices. It's called the Heart Healing Ritual that I teach all my students. And like people have been coming back with the most profound experiences, giving this to other people. But so, I feel like this is what I'm getting from some of my Mexican ancestors. But again, it's so important for me to communicate that we are all one people, right? We are all one heart. We all are brothers and sisters. So no matter what your lineage, all of us have this memory. All of us come from people that were once connected. Some of our, I have 15 different lineages. Some of my lineages were colonized 1,500 years ago, like long time ago, so that the hearts were closed, that they could do this. When I did the research, even with the Spanish, because I've seen this horrific trauma. Well, if you looked at that, they fought for 200 years off the oppression in that land, and hurt people. If we haven't healed ourselves, and I feel like this time is really important for us to remember first that we are all spiritual beings and we're all connected. But remember, also like the medicine, the knowledge, the heart wisdom from our own lineage, and connect. Like our ancestors knew how to connect with the plants. They just went out and the plants spoke to them. They had a connection that this will help you heal this. This will help your child heal this. Like we have this communication with each other and the earth and the land and the animals that we have forgotten, but it's still there. It's in our DNA. It's still in the land. So I really, as I speak, I'm so passionate. Even what's going on right now towards my mother did not become Mexican or become a citizen until she was in her 20s. So right now, what's going on in the United States, like my mother probably would I'd been one of those children crying for my mama. My mama probably would have been taken away. So, we look at this but this is not just about me being Mexican. I'm very passionate about that. We are all one people, and it's so important right now more than any other time to remember and just listen and open your heart, listen to your heart. And this is like the most powerful medicine for me with Cacao is like, she's such a heart opener, right?
Yes.
She opens your heart. And right now, like all of us, I mean, I don't know about all you guys, but like I've had some heartbreak, and I want to do this. And if you look at like our parents, our grandparents, they block their hearts, right? Like,
right, yeah.
Where does your heart want to open more? Like more, Rumi talked about that, right? What are the obstacles that are blocking your heart? Like what is in the way?
Yeah.
Open to yourself. Like, how do you not love yourself, right?
Yeah.
And each other. And, it's tied to forgiveness, but like, I feel like everything is so connected to Mama Heart.
Absolutely. So. And that you saying that, I feel so many avenues of questions that I want to go down. But I do want to stay in this space of what we are experiencing right now in our country, and people moving through a lot of trauma being put on, just adding more trauma. And so with what you've experienced and using this heart healing, using and sitting with Cacao and sharing that spirit and the healing that it can bring, what would you offer to people that are listening to this so that they can not feel numb, right? Or overwhelmed by what's happening?
I think the first thing is a lot of times we feel numb because we shove it down,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, this is also where like a lot of the traumas in our own lives and our ancestors, like even this is why like breast cancer shows up generation after generation. This is why the toxic relations show up generation. You can see in your own life, and you want
Yeah.
to have like repeating patterns. Like, didn't I just have this happen? I had the same experience, the same bad relationship, same, you know, the repeating patterns happen because somebody experienced something heart wrenching
Mm-hmm.
and they grew numb. They had to shove it down. And I mean, I think a lot of times the ancestors had to shove it down to survive, really. Like they couldn't, like,
Yes.
they didn't have the luxury like some of us do. Even if we have like a lot of work and we're doing 5 trillion things, we're on the grind, we still have times to just be sit and still and feel. So the
Yeah.
first thing I think is really important, like, feel it. You know, like I woke up this morning crying with what was going on in the world, right? Like, like feel it. We have to let it move through us and be brave enough to feel it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you feel it, like you feel it, but then it triggers, there's things in you that are making you sad. There's things in your own stuff that comes up, but we have to move through it and feel it in order to get to the medicine and to the understanding. So, that's the first thing, right? Is
Yeah.
like instead of going on, like feel, be brave, like
Yeah.
feeling. It's not always easy, but I can tell you, my mother died from cancer and went into the doctor 6 years ago for a stomach ache. We thought she was in perfect health. Her parents lived into their 90s. She was diagnosed with cancer and she died 35 days later, right?
Wow.
Like she had so much trauma. She was abused as a child and she never processed any of that stuff, never healed this. And she came to this country when she was 10 years old, and the things that she experienced, not speaking any Spanish and or any English back then. But I don't want to repeat those things,
Yeah.
right? A lot of times our parents, like they had the traumas, and because they didn't have the luxury to feel. So the first thing is to feel. And then the second thing is, as you feel, like ask, how can I open my heart? How can I love more? How can I love? And it begins with like, how do you not love yourself? Because if you truly love yourself, you can't do something hateful and evil to another person. You can't you can't not understand that when you're hurting someone else, the child that's crying there, the child that's starving across the world, the things that are happening, that's us, right? So
Yeah.
in order for you to understand the connection, like you have to look at like, where don't I feel worthy?
Mm-hmm.
Where don't I feel loved? And go into that. And a lot of times we're afraid to go into that. But what I was saying is that like if we don't, it might feel scary to do that, but what's the alternative? Like the alternative was like, my mother woke up and she had cancer and then she was gone, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't want to end my life and look at my daughter and my grandchildren and my great grandchildren and think, oh my God, I just passed down the trauma. Like this is the same repeating thing. Like I don't want to end that way. I want to leave knowing that I have done deep work to free the generations, to cut the traumas so that we can, this is honestly like this cusp in the world right now. If we can look at all of us individual with our own lineage and the traumas that have happened and all the pains and all the stuff, we're being asked individually to take a look. It's almost like we have this big, huge backpack full of trauma on our back. And a lot of times we don't even know it, right? And
Yeah.
how can we love each other and love the earth and love the animals when we got so much? Could we do the work ourselves and then we can take that back? And now we're free.
Yeah.
And now we're free to truly love ourselves. We're really, truly free to see that, Laura, like you are me and I am you, that there's no separation, right? And beyond that, like other humans, but even when I'm outside with the tree, that is me. We're
Yeah.
all connected. And the animals that you see, we're all parts of the great one, of, the great creator, whether you call that great creator Wankan Tonkin or God or Jesus Christ or Allah, whatever we all are connected, we're all one, right? But this is the deep work. So that's my, I guess that's my answer is like, do the work and be brave. And, for some of us are further along, like we do the work and we're like, okay, now I can go out and lead it. Some of you watching this your work may be just like, oh, dig it in. Like, where's the root of that depression?
Yeah.
Where's the root of that addiction? Mm-hmm. Where's the root of that anxiety? And just dig it into you. Mm-hmm. And healing and forgiving and loving. We are here to love, to love, to love.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautifully said. Thank you for bringing those words to this space for our listeners to connect with that. I know a lot of them are on that path. And so that reminder and that encouragement, I know will make an impact. In talking about that, in talking about healing, I love that on this podcast, we talk about these moments of synchronicity, these moments that Great Spirit has come in and said, I'm with you, keep going on that path, and given us a validation. Do you have any moments of kind of serendipity or anything like that where you were moving through those things and you felt that validation?
Well, yes, I have lots of them now, but I'm going to give a really big one, but I'm going to give a little one that happened this morning, right?
Oh, I love that.
So like I've been asking with what's going on, like, how do I serve? Like, how can I be part of the healing of the earth? And then, I woke up this morning and last night I was just deep in like seeing what was going on. And I woke up crying this morning and I was like, oh my goodness. And I was driving, I was actually driving home. I was with my daughter last night where she's house sitting a relative's home. So I was with her and I was driving home this morning and I stopped to get some gas. And when I got the gas said 22. And the amount of gallons was 7.77 gallons. I was just like, okay, so that was a small thing, but those are the angel numbers, right? Those are the numbers that were just like saying, everything's in alignment, Bird. Like just you are moving in the right space. So sometimes, when we're having a day or we're confused and you're just looking someplace and you drive by someplace you've driven by 5 trillion times and you see that the address is 3330 whatever boulevard and you're like 333. Oh, you're seeing. So that was a beautiful thing. And I think this is something that we all can kind of start noticing. I think, when we start, especially when we start this journey, you start seeing the angel numbers and the repetitions and the synchronicities and you're like, oh, that's not a synchronicity. That is something that is real.
Yeah.
So a bigger one for me was after my mother died. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think for us, at least in Western culture, and I can only speak, I was born and raised in the United States. And, we're taught that death, like you don't talk to your loved, like they don't come to you, right? Like if I had been raised in Mexico, it would probably been different because we would have been, Dia de los Muertos and the ancestors. I wasn't raised that way. So, when my mother died, it was so unexpected. And I had a difficult relationship with my mother and it ended that way. Like we didn't heal it before she died. So it was like, I remember a month after my mother died, like I was at the gym and I was doing like a weightlifting class type of thing. And all of a sudden I start crying. I'm like, the story didn't end nice. Like she's gone. Like we can't heal it anymore. Like it's done. Right. And so I started seeing, after my mother died, I started seeing a single white feather everywhere I went. And I understood that my mother was coming to me with feathers. And I started noticing that. I'd be having a hard day and I'd look and there would be a feather. Like places there should have been feathers. I went to this one place, I was in this room and there was nothing there. I grabbed my luggage, I put my luggage there, and then on the bed, the room had just been cleaned before I got there, there's one single white feather. And that day I was desperately missing my mother. And I was like, okay, and to the point where one time I went, someplace random where there was water, and a place that shouldn't have had feathers, and there was white feathers spread everywhere, right? And
Mm.
so, it was a reminder that, so those of you that have had loved ones, like, it's a real thing. They don't die. They're just, bodies are not here. They're still in what we call, I call it the spiritual realms, right? They're still there. But
Yeah.
about 5 months after my mother died, I was in water. I really connect powerfully in water. And I was like, Mama, I miss her, I miss you. And then all of a sudden I heard her speak to me, and she was like, my daughter, thank you. You gave me the unconditional motherly love I always wanted. She goes, you helped me so much. And I started crying. And she had these messages for me around the trauma and some of the things that she had went. Like, it was this whole conversation. And at the end of it, she said, I'm now going to give to you what I was not able to give to you while I was alive. And for 5 minutes, I've never felt to be like so powerful. I felt this unconditional motherly love just
Yeah.
pouring into my heart. Just something I hadn't experienced ever from my mother. And I just sat and I cried. So, I wanted to mention that because, I feel like a lot of times we think, and a lot of people, a lot of us, I think a lot of people are experiencing death. I mean, I've had friends of all ages people of all ages that are unexpectedly passing. Um, to remember that, you know, God is with us, our ancestors are with us, our loved ones are with us.
Yeah.
There's not an ending. It
Mhm.
is, and I feel like I can say that my mother's death was maybe beautifully the most profound event of my life. It changed my life. Like, it's almost like it's a co-creation now between my mother and I. A lot of the way that my journey and my healing and the way I guide and teach others, and even diving into some of the indigenous, even the cacao coming to
Yeah.
me, right? It was guided, like, there's this co-creation. So, I think sometimes our ancestors are coming to us, and they're here and they're guiding us. So, when someone dies and you see all of a sudden you see yellow butterfly everywhere, and you're like, don't think that's weird. Like, it's real,
Yeah.
right? Hummingbird is another beautiful one. I know
Mhm.
hummingbird represents the ancestors. And I know when, after my mother died, I was raised in Minnesota, which is, there weren't a lot of hummingbirds in the cities growing up. And there was a day where I was really desperately missing my mother. And, I've been having this spiritual business where I've been leading people on that day. Like, I was ready just to throw it away. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm ready to give this up. And I've done this, all these years as I've been doing this as a single mother. And so I was like, I can't. And this point of, like, inner, like, just like wanting to give up on everything, all of a sudden a hummingbird appears. In the home that I grew up, there was never a hummingbird. All the years I was raised there, I've never seen a hummingbird ever since then.
Yeah.
And there was a hummingbird that just flew right by me and kind of hovered for a minute and then left. So,
Wow.
when I got that, I was like, oh, the ancestors wanted me to know, don't give up, bird. We're with
Yeah.
you. It's okay. And a lot of times when that happens, we just dismiss it. Oh, that's crazy. Like, that's that. Nobody going to believe that. And we don't even believe it. We're not going to tell somebody,
Right.
that that's it. And I think especially, even generationally, I'm 56 years old. So I think my generation, especially, like, you think you're crazy. You think you're
Yeah.
this. But listen to those synchronicities, whether you're seeing angel numbers or you are seeing an animal that has a message for you, or you're seeing something repeatedly after your loved one has passed. Like, that stuff's real. And
Yes.
it's a reminder that we're connected
Hmm.
to the great source. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, we last season did an episode on hummingbirds, and I had so many people reaching out afterwards saying, "While I was listening to the episode, a hummingbird came up to me, or I saw two hummingbirds on my walk while I was listening to the episode." And it again was this like inception of serendipity, that within us talking about these signs from source, more signs were coming and people were paying attention more. And so thank you for sharing your validations and your messages, because I know people are going to connect with that, and it's going to support them and where they are. And especially with losing a parent and losing your mother, in a time where you didn't feel like the relationship was resolved or, healed. I know quite a few people that have been starting that journey with their parent to move through that, and then something happens and they feel this, wait a second, we were just starting to heal, we were just starting to find a way to connect, and now they're not here. But like you said, they are still here, and you can still have that connection and that communication with them.
Well, you know what I think is magical about it is that a lot of times when someone that we loved has transitioned, when we come here, there's an amnesia we forget, right? I think if you see children, you see how children are so alive, or, even seeing tutor children say, like, there's a angel here, or they're connected,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And as we get older, there's amnesia. We forget all these things, right? So you have to imagine that when your loved one has passed, they remember now. So a
Mm.
lot of us, this is my mother pre all of the abuse she had as a child, right? Pre all the trauma coming to this country that she had, pre all the stuff, all the traumas, all the things that were unhealed. Now here's my mama connected to source, remembering who
Yeah.
she is. And that's the mother. She still has my mother essence, right? My mother was feisty, when you see some of those little memes where they have the abuela, the Mexican
Hmm.
abuela, and she's like eating ice, and she's like that would have been my mother. Like, she was feisty, right? But she still has the essence of my mama, right? But like, this is my mother, like, it's like my super mama, like,
Yeah.
connected, like, now she sees me, now she knows me, now she gets what I'm doing, and she's connected. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's powerful. It's like this powerful connection. So, sometimes we are so devastated, like, why could this happen? Especially like a child dying, right? Like, how do you justify losing a child? But you
Right.
know, we don't know the big picture of things. But when your child has passed, for example, or a young friend that's very young, they may be guiding you in a more powerful way. So, like, there may be a co-creation.
Mm.
When I was in ceremony in Guatemala, one of the women that was one of the elders, her name was Ana Maria. And my middle name is Anne. My mother used to always call me Ana. So actually,
Mm.
we changed it to Ana. But my mother's name was Maria. And when we were in ceremony and we had cacao, and we were doing this, and they were chanting, doing the stuff, my mother came through and she said, when you are doing this work, we are Ana Maria, because I am with you. Together, we are Ana Maria. And I
Mm.
just was like, just crying, like, whoa,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, sometimes, like, it might not be, your human mind can't fathom it, and we miss their presence.
Right.
But also, like, this also be open to, well, maybe they're still there. Maybe the dance isn't over. Maybe, like, we have a
Right.
whole new adventure together. And maybe, especially during these times, because these are times that has been prophesized by a lot of indigenous cultures for a long time, right? We are in this big, huge shift right now.
Yes.
Maybe they're helping out on the other side, because maybe we need some extra help, because as humans, like, we forgot a lot of stuff, and we have a lot of healing to do. So, maybe some people are leaving to be like, okay, let me help you.
Yeah.
Like, now here, like, I think we need that. I needed my mother's help, and I'm really grateful for it. So,
Yeah. And like you said, the relationship doesn't have to be done, and it can transform into a different type of communication and a different type of connection that is more expansive,
yeah,
because they are in that spirit form,
yeah,
and they have,
yeah.
like you said, remembered everything, and they're coming from a different space, but still having their signature so you can recognize them, right? Like, it's
Yes, yes. Well, and I have to say this. This is what coming to me. I think this is important too. When I started my healing journey years ago, I was told, I started doing like breath work and meditation, Shakti Nam yoga, and there's a lot of chanting. And I was told, when you heal yourself, you heal the 7 generations before you and after
hmm
you. And
hmm
I got that, like, before you, but I'm kind of thinking, like, kind of metaphorically, kind of more, woo-ish.
uh-huh.
After my mother died, I went to the person. I'm trained in Reiki, but I go to someone else that does Reiki for me,
Right.
and she gets beautiful messages. And so as soon as I got on the table, she looked at me. She goes, "You have to forgive your mother." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I've already forgiven my mother." Like, and she goes, "No, like I'm receiving when we're doing this, you're forgiving your mother." So I'm going thinking I'm going to get this nice, relaxing Reiki
Right.
to
Just
raise my
lay
vibration.
back.
And
Yeah.
I'm there and I'm processing through the stuff I need to forgive my mama for. And I'm going through this and I'm like crying and blah, blah, blah. And I felt this release, like this forgiveness of my mother. And all of a sudden, I felt my mother's presence here. Because when I've always felt my mother, I've always felt my mother here. And my abuelita, my grandmother, her mother, kind of different. I felt my mother, and her mother came and she held her hand. And I felt that now there was forgiveness and healing between my mother and her mother. And I just was like, I was like, oh my goodness, this is real. Like,
Yeah.
when our healing actually impacts, and I don't know that all of the ancestors stick around to help. I know that mine have. But like, I understood, I'm like, my forgiving my mother has helped her. And
Yeah.
now it's helping her, my abuelita. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, like, this isn't just woo woo stuff. This is
It's
actually,
happening.
I was actually, this is real. I was like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, right? So then we think about like, what is it happening to the generations after us?
Exactly.
Wow.
And you can see it, right? Like in maybe your kids, if you did a lot of healing, you can see the difference in your kids or grandkids. I notice in some of my friends that have done healing work that maybe they had one child and then started their healing journey, and the next child is very different. So you can see like this change within them that affects the next child or children. Uh, and I've also experienced where I've done healing and then I've had family members who are living reach out to me and say, "Did you work on something related to this week? Because I'm feeling different." And it's accurate. And yeah, I did. So, absolutely, those are such really beautiful validations that what we're doing is working and it matters. And we I don't know about you, but that is another way that I get excited about what I'm doing. Like, yes, okay, I want to heal more because I want to feel that more and I want them to feel that. And yes.
And that's really powerful. And I love that, it's connecting to everybody in your family. It's connecting to people that are your friends. It's connecting to your circles. It's connecting to people, and it's connecting people that you don't know.
Mm.
I wanted to say, though, too, like those of you that are parents, sometimes the hardest healing, especially, is with your children, right? Like, I think, I can say as a mother, you hear about the teenagers. Now they're having this problem. And I feel like your teenage daughter is like telling you, Mama, you got some healing to do. Are you going to do the work or not? And it's just kind of like you can be like, oh, F no, I'm not. The problem is you. And then you're going to fight, or you go like, oh my God, like I don't want to look at this. And you swallow the pill and you go in deeper, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I know my daughter came to me a few years ago, and I'm doing my work, and I'm watching how I'm changing people's lives, and I'm like seeing all this stuff. And my daughter comes to me and she's like, Mom, you haven't been emotionally available to me. She goes, I know you do all the things and you do all the stuff, but since I was 8 years old, I've been raising myself since I
Oh,
was
wow.
8 because you're not there for me emotionally. And I was like, oh, how am I helping all these other people? And it was interesting because a couple of years before, I was told that I was healing an ancestral pattern between mother and daughter that had been going
Mm.
on for a long time. And I can tell you that healing that pattern with mother and daughter, whew, that was. And one time I actually sat with Cacao, and well, the trees spoke to me. I know that might sound weird to you. Some of you,
Wow.
like, the
Yeah.
trees are alive, and I was really communing with the trees, and the trees spoke to me, and they said, the women in your lineage were so powerful that nothing could break them. And they
Mm.
broke them by what they did to their children. And this is still impacting the mother daughter wound. And I was also told that every woman that comes to you, this is also in their lineage. So
Wow.
I have a lot of people that come to me with a lot of healing to do with mother daughter stuff, right? And so, like, it was deep. so I just wanted to hold space for all of you. Like, we can do the work, but sometimes, like, the stuff with our children, like, ooh, and I think for the men, the stuff with your sons, like, that's especially like, whoo, like, it's not easy. It's not easy. But I can say now my daughter and I are things. I'm not going to say they're perfect because I'm not a perfect human being, but
Right.
things are so much better. And it's really beautiful to see that and to be like, okay, we're doing this work. There's benefits. And I feel like I could be 80 years old and have a daughter in her 60s, or I could be 100 years old and have a daughter in her 70s and 80s. And if I do the work when I'm 100 years old, it's impacting my children
Yes.
in their 70s and 80s, because as parents, we're connected. And I think this is the thing, we're connected to our nieces and nephews, we're connected to our family, we're connected to everybody we love. And it doesn't have to be blood family, but everyone we're connected to, that we have, they've done studies around the heart. There's actually like heart connections, there's energy that goes from
Yeah.
heart, and
Yeah.
it goes across, just like we're watching this because of Zoom, right? Like
Yeah. We're in
phones,
different
well,
states.
our
Yeah.
hearts are more powerful than this technology.
Right.
We think this technology is, if this technology can do this, what's our hearts doing? That's why when you think about somebody, all of a sudden they call you randomly, right? Or something shows up.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of us have, people in our lives, like, that we've loved or that are not in our lives anymore. It could be a friend or ex-lover or, but there's always heartstrings. And I think it's important that whatever you do, even if you don't ever meet that person again, even if you have a family member that's a strain that doesn't ever forgive you, but whatever work you do in your heart is impacting those you love and those you're connected to in your heart in ways that I don't think we will understand until we're not here anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so true. When you are saying that, yeah, I see that connection with everyone. And then going back to what you said at the beginning, we are all connected. So that's how it affects everyone and helps everyone.
Yeah.
And you saying, oh, my daughter told me this. And again, going back to what you said at the beginning, you were ready and said, okay, I need to feel this. I need to heal that. You sat with it, you accepted it, right? You could have said, like, and resisted, and it could have turned into more. But you did what you were telling us in the beginning, that you felt it and you moved through it so that it could change and you could see what that change looks like for your family. And if everyone can do that, that is why we chose to be here right now. So we can help the planet.
And, I just have to say, like, yes, it was. And just for everybody to know, like, sometimes you look at that and we're like, oh my God, like, it was the hardest thing. Like, I wanted to run from it. I wanted to be like, no, I'm helping. I had to sit with it, and it made me so uncomfortable and it was so painful. And then got to a space where I'm like, how was your mother emotionally available for you? She never could be. Whoever taught you how to be emotionally available to your child, right? Like, who? And, sometimes it's that uncomfortability, and you'd be like, but then it was like, your head starts telling you, like, oh my God, I'm such a bad mom. Like, I'm da 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 da. I didn't do everything. Like, oh my God, like, what? You start doing this stuff, right? And it's just like, no, this is where we get to be patient with ourselves and be like, okay, it's okay. I love you. Like, I love you, Bird. You're doing your best. And it's okay that you're not perfect. It's okay that you screwed up, and, I just had to tell my daughter, said, hey, I screwed up, and I know I hurt you, and I didn't mean to. And, I just talked to him like, this is where I come from. And not as an excuse, but as an understanding on her. And I said, I will do whatever
Yeah.
it takes to regain your trust in me. And, back then she was like, well, it's probably going to take a whole lifetime. And I said, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
If it takes a whole lifetime, that's what it will take, and I think sometimes, those we love need to hear that, like, I love you unconditionally. And even if you don't love me back, I'm still going to love you unconditionally.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Even if you decide that you don't forgive me, and this could be to a parent, right? This could be to a
Yeah.
parent, like, you might never forgive me, or to a friend, or to an ex-lover, or to a spouse. Like, you can do what you want, but
Hmm.
I'm going to dig in deep, and I'm going to do the work that I need to do. And I am going to learn to love you unconditionally, right? And I think this is where there's so much conditional love, right? And we have been a lot of times loved conditionally. So, like, how do we learn what unconditional, like, how do we even know? Because, like, most of us have never even experienced what that feels like. But how do you love yourself unconditionally? You
Right.
screwed up. Do you still love yourself? Right? You made a
Yeah.
mistake. Do you still love yourself? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you hurt somebody you love. How do you forgive yourself? How do you love yourself unconditionally? Right?
Yeah.
And like I said, like, it's so important to dig in deep, into where we don't feel worthy, where we don't feel lovable,
Yeah.
and to look at that. And
Yeah.
that's where we can open, and then we can have heartstrings to others. And some of us have animals, and the animals, what do they teach us? Unconditional love, right?
Yep. Right.
No matter what, they
Yeah.
love us unconditionally. So sometimes some of us have animals is to teach us, like, and that's why it can be so devastating when an animal passes, because, like, we've never felt unconditional love before, like, but perhaps your animal sister, your animal brother, your animal being, like, came to tell you
Yeah.
you're lovable.
Yeah.
This is what it
Yeah.
feels like, right? And maybe now you can do the work. And I feel like even with the animals, like, they have loved us so unconditionally, and universally in the world, we treat so many animals so horrifically. Like, this is why, like, I'm just like, I gotta step up even more. Like, how do I serve more? How can I help even with the
Yeah.
animals? How can I help with the earth? Like,
Yeah.
how, like, you know, look how we've treated the earth, and the earth still gives us
I,
bounty
I was
after
just gonna say
bounty
it's the
after
same.
bounty
Yeah.
unconditionally. Like, thank you to the earth. Where can we, like, have reverence and have, like, devotion to it all? So
Yeah.
all these things are, some of our.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I was going to say, yeah, same with the earth. It shows up for us, it supports us, it nourishes us unconditionally. So, yeah, just like the animals, I know you told us at the beginning before we started that one of your animals is sitting near you, supporting the space. So, I
And
tell
he
them
just
thank
came back.
you.
He just came back. This is my Bagheera. He is my biggest. He is named Bagheera, means it's name for jaguar, Black Panther.
Oh, I love
He
it.
is here as the powerful masculine that's also connected to the jaguar's feminine energy, right? The powerful
Yes.
masculine that's connected with his feminine. And
Mhm.
he, again, just planted himself right here. So
Yep.
he's present for all of you. So this is also, like, the healing of the masculine, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you identify as masculine, feminine, as both, as, but, like, just as this healing, we all have the masculine and the feminine within us, and healing, that energies.
So true. I wanted to mention you do so many incredible things. Being able to, you had, we had talked and you were talking about reclaiming, you're helping people reclaim their space as holistic practitioners and that you do shamanic drumming. Of course, we know sitting with the spirit of cacao and holding space for others. I think you were also telling me about, was it the Mesoamerican chart that you read? Or yeah,
Yeah.
all of these things. Like, what is one of your favorite things that you do for your community?
Um, well, I'm going to say my community is my world. So I'm trained in lots of healing things. So, like, if my energy feels, you can reach out and say, Bird, like, I'm I'm trained in so many beautiful practices that can help. But the message that I have received really powerfully is that I can serve the collective healing of the world better if I teach
Mm,
others what I have learned. So I have a training. It's called Reclaim, and I have a part one in the springtime, and in the January through and then we meet for a few months, and then I have everyone take the summer off to integrate and practice, and then we do part two. And I also do one-on-one mentorship to teach, because I feel like this way, I love the practices. Like I am really amazing. Like I love doing, like, for example, soul retrievals to help people reclaim their lost. There's the parts that have been lost with trauma. Like, usually when there's a trauma, part of us, part of our, they call it soul, but a part of our personality kind of goes into hiding to protect ourselves. Like I love doing those. I love doing so many things, but I can help more people if I teach other people how to do these practices.
Yes.
So that was the one thing. And then the other thing is I do, I was fascinated when I went to Guatemala and with, their, they call the Mayan energies, right? They have the Choqui, and these energies, when a child is born, the Mayan elder goes into the communities and will tell the family, this is the energy this child has. It talks about their gifts, basically kind of the life purpose, and it's like how they can have a useful existence in the community. So it's really helpful to know like what the child has, so you can raise them.
Yeah.
So I was so fascinated about this, but then I discovered that in Mexico, they had something very similar called the Tonapawali 26-day calendar. The energies are very aligned and very similar.
Right.
And when I understood that, I was like, oh, and in that culture, like by the time a child is 7, they're raised by the elders that have these same energies so that they understand how they can contribute to the community, right?
Lovely.
So when I understood that, I was like, oh, there's a memory. I love this so much because I know this, but a lot of it's been kind of like a lot of it's been forgotten. So but anyway, I do my version of the readings where, for me, like my energy is a wisdom teacher. So when I understood that, I was like, oh, life experience and
Yes.
knowledge. And that's why, like, I've been a scholar. I've got 2 master's degrees, almost a third one. I was, like I'm always inhaling knowledge. I have bookshelves since I was a little girl. So I'm incorporating the knowledge, and I've had life experience. See, I'm 56. I've experienced a lot, and but then I need quiet, so I can alchemize it, and it kind of gets
Yeah,
in there,
true.
and then I spit it out as knowledge. And that's why I like teaching, because I feel like that's a medicine. But that's, if I could do one thing, that's the one thing I like to do individually, because I feel like understanding those energies, and also your planetary vibration, which is different than your zodiac. Zodiac's
Right.
like the base plane. Planetary vibrations are at the astral plane. It's based on the Kabbalah and ancient Egyptian knowledge about know thyself. I won't have anyone work with me that doesn't know thyself, because you need to know your planetary vibrational energies and your Mesoamerican energies, so that you understand what your gifts are and what your strengths are and what your challenges are.
Mm,
Like, for example, my mind is ruled by Mars, right? Like
mm.
that is, it's a number 9. It's one of the most challenging energies to rule your mind. It can be fiery and like out of control, but when you learn how to master
Yeah.
that, it has
Powerful.
one of the highest potentials for spiritual attainment. But like I needed to know, like I found out that chanting is really good for this
Mm.
energy. So, I started chanting years ago. But, just understanding, who you are and what you've come into this world and what your gifts are. I think a lot of times we're looking in our life like, what's my life purpose? And, I like that,
Yeah.
ancient cultures, like they looked and said, well, this is what you're here for. And,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a being in a trap, but, if you know yourself, like, oh, this is one of my gifts, and this is one of my
Yeah.
gifts, and this is one of my gifts. And you can sit with it yourself and be like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, like all the pieces start coming together. And I think
Yeah.
that's lovely. So these are, when I do any of my training, this is the first thing I teach people. I start out with like, you need to know thyself, and then we can move forward,
Yeah.
and figure out how you help other people. So that's,
It's a great starting point, because then you have so many tools already
yeah,
that can help kind of be called to the surface to
yeah,
be used, and then
yeah,
you're guiding them from there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
beautiful. That's
it's
really beautiful. This episode is sponsored by Provia Psychology. At Provia Psychology, we believe healing is a whole person journey. Our compassionate mental health therapists offer personalized care that honors your unique path, blending evidence-based therapy with deep intuitive understanding. With offices in Long Beach and Newport Beach and secure telehealth across California, support is always within reach. Visit proviapsychology.com to find a therapist who aligns with you. Provia Psychology, healing starts here. I wanted to ask you, as we're coming to kind of the end of our time together, if there was anything you wanted to offer the listeners in the form of a prayer or anything that you feel, and if not, that's okay. But I've started to do this in the last season of if anybody has something that is coming through that they would like to, like a song or a prayer or something.
What is coming through right now, and this is just getting channeled, is I'd like us to do like a heart healing right now.
Yeah.
I want you, everyone, just to connect with your heart. And just first begin by slowly breathing in and out, like just slowing down your breath. And then the next inhale we're going to take, I want you to inhale. Imagine this light is coming from the divine and it's coming and it's just hitting your heart. You're just going to inhale. And then you're going to inhale more. And as you inhale and you receive it, I want you just to feel this energy, what it feels like to receive unconditional love into your heart space. I want you to inhale more. Inhale a little bit more. And when you think you can't receive anymore, I want you to inhale, sip a little bit more. Just hold that for a moment. And then with your mouth, I want you to exhale anything that's been bothering you, blocking your heart, hurting your heart. So we're going to do this again, and it's going to be kind of like we're filling up our heart a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, so again, we're going to take a deep inhale into our heart. Imagine this unconditional love that's hitting your heart. You're going to inhale a little bit more. And then you're going to inhale a little bit more. And when you inhale, you're receiving. You're receiving. I want you to receive because you are worthy of receiving. Inhale a little bit more, receive more, and receive more. You deserve to receive. Hold it for a moment. And again, exhale powerfully out the mouth, anything that's been blocking you. We're going to do this one last time, and I really want you just to focus on receiving unconditional love into your heart. We're going to inhale powerfully into the heart, receive. Receiving is one of the feminine energies of receiving and being, and a lot of us do and give. So we're going to practice receiving. Receive more. Receive more. As you receive more, your energy and your field of light is growing. Receive a little bit more. When you think you can't receive more, I want you to sip in a little bit more and a little bit more and receive a little bit more. Just sit with that. Feel some of the peace or feel the resistance if that comes up too. And one last time, exhale. And I want you to sit with your heart for a moment. Just put your hand in your heart, just breathing slowly. I'm going to ask your heart a question in a moment. And I want you to understand that your heart will talk like maybe a first grader, maybe a 4-year-old. They'll give you a really simple answer. If you get a complicated answer, that's your mind. And we can thank our mind and we can say, thank you, mind. But if your mind comes up, you can tell your mind, thank you, mind. I'm going to just send you on a little vacation right now. Go rest for a little bit. Ask your mind just to rest. Gift your mind. Your mind has been working overtime for probably maybe all your life, right? But we're going to connect with our heart because our heart is actually thousands of times more powerful than the mind. This is what connects us to source. to God, to Jesus Christ, to Allah, to Wakan Tonkin, to the Great Spirit. Okay, so just feel your heart. I'm going to ask your heart a question, and I want you to listen. And again, if you get a complicated answer, just tell your mind, thank you. Center it on a little rest, and then just listen. And if you don't receive an answer, we've planted a seed. You will receive your answer in perfect timing. Just connect. Heart, heart. How can I love more? Heart, heart. How can I love more? Just listen. Heart, heart. How can I love more? And listen. And usually the first impulse is the answer. And if you don't receive anything, don't get in your head about it. Be gentle with yourself. You'll receive the answer later in divine, perfect timing. And we're going to end by thanking the heart. Heart, heart, thank you for always being there with me. Thank you for never giving up on me, no matter how much heartbreak, no matter how many walls I put up around you. Thank you for always being here, always loving me unconditionally. Thank you for never, ever leaving me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, heart. And then know that you can do this anytime. You can always connect with your heart. You can always ask, heart, what do I need to know? Your heart has great wisdom. They've actually done studies. If you look at Heart Math Institute, 5% of the population with healed heart has the energy, has the ability to lift up the vibration of the entire world. And when you're missing somebody, you can do that connection. And when you inhale, you can receive that love. And instead of exhaling and just exhaling out any of the thing that's been bothering you, you can inhale and you can exhale that heart energy out to somebody you love, whether they're alive or not. And it can be someone that you're totally disconnected with for years. It could be someone that's estranged in your life, anybody. And then when you inhale, you're going to inhale the love back. Even if that somebody is someone that's mad at you or doesn't want to talk to you. And then you continue with that like it's a flowing. And that's another one that you can continue. So I really invite you to begin your own relationship with your heart. Be gentle with your heart. Be gentle with yourself.
Thank you so much. So much gratitude for that practice that you guided us through. I know it's wonderful because this is accessible. They can find it at any point, like if they feel like they need that again, they can come back to this. So thank you for leaving us with that and that we're able to give it to anyone that, it's essentially like this free gift in the world for other people to access and use. Thank you.
I have to say one thing about this. This is something when we talk about what can you do? This is something I practice with people that are suffering in other parts of the world. I know there's a woman that I follow who rescues. She's 28. It's Paz Cross Leb. She's 28 in Lebanon, and she has personally rescued more than 100 cats and more than 40 dogs. I mean, things that are horrific, most human, like you couldn't even see it because of the bombing and the devastation and the trauma in the country. And there was one little one, like sometimes when they're like, I will just send this energy across. And she's had situations where she didn't think the little one was going to make it, and they did. And I was like, that's because they were feeling loved. And those that have passed, what I've gotten for some of the animals that have passed was that they passed, but they felt that love. They never felt like they could feel that love from people around the world that were actually sending them love. And that's huge healing for an animal to feel human love, whether
Right.
you're here or not. But just know that that's real. You can send love to anybody in pain, any situation, anyone you love. And it's real. It's not like woo woo, it's
Right.
real and it's
Yeah,
powerful.
absolutely. Thank you for that reminder. Uh, I love to um, end on, some fun moments. And so this season, what we're doing is like a quick fire question and answer. So I'm just asking questions that are like mostly healing-ish related. Some are random, but I just ask you and like whatever the first thoughts are that come, and then we move to the next question. So what healing modality do you love the most that isn't something you do?
That's not something I do.
Yeah. Like what is something you go and receive or
Um, Sound bowl healing. Yeah.
yeah, beautiful. Yeah. That's so funny because someone else says that similarly. If you do yoga, what is your favorite type of yoga?
I love Shakti Nam Yoga, which is there's lots of different branches, but it's a lot of breath work and chanting.
Beautiful. What is the most special place that you've traveled?
My favorite place in the whole entire world is Sedona, Arizona.
Yes, I know. It's so great. Um, in constellations, what is your favorite constellation?
It's um, I'm going to say the Taurus because yeah, yeah.
Interesting. I like that. What is the most unique place that you've hosted or been to a healing ceremony?
Uh, Guatemala is very special. Lake Atitlan.
I skipped one. Atlantis or Lemurian? Which energy do you
Lemurian.
same? Is there a nickname that you have that you could share with us?
Bird was my nickname, and I made it. I legally changed it.
I
So
love that. I wondered. And what's your favorite type of food?
anything Mexican.
Yeah.
Love Mexican food. Sopes, particularly. My mother used to make something called sopes
Yes.
and tamales. Plant-based ones because they
Uh,
originally were plant-based. Didn't ever have lard.
I like that.
Yeah.
Um, if you had a choice, what would you reincarnate as? And it could be not on Earth.
Well, I'm planning on coming back again as a human. I think I'd like to come as a woman because I am planting as many seeds as I can this time. And next time I'm coming and I'm going to just play in it.
Like that. Okay. What is your favorite word?
Um, Beautiful.
And last question, what is your moon sign?
Oh, I'm not even remembering.
That's funny. I know. And sometimes when I ask that, I think, gosh, maybe somebody doesn't know. Yeah. So sometimes I'm like, wait, which one's my moon sign? Oh yeah, that one. Okay. So it's okay.
I forget some of my zodiac because I was taught that planetary trumps the zodiac. So sometimes I forget. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause you're working in
I
that
guess you're
other.
not supposed to know.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Sometimes I know, but right now my mind's like, I don't remember.
Nope. It's
Yeah.
not for this moment. Yeah. Well, something else we like to do to end the podcast is we ask the void a question. And it typically is just something very light and silly. Do you have a question that you would like to ask, or I can ask?
Am I to ask a question?
You don't have to, but I always offer in case you do.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
you don't
No,
have to.
I think I'm good.
Okay. The void. What is your favorite flower? I don't think we've asked that before. What is your favorite flower?
Rose.
Rose. Okay, perfect for heart healing, high frequency energy,
Beautiful.
feminine energy. Perfect. Thank you, Void. Bird, I feel like,
And a lily.
oh, the Void also would like to say, and a lily.
Hey, lovely.
addition in there. We will have all of your information in the bio of every platform that we post this on so that people can reach out to you and connect with you. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for everything that you shared with us, the heart healing, your messages, your words, your energy. Just, I appreciate it so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for your light and your love in this world. And if you're watching this, thank you for your journey. Like, I know it's not always been easy. I think sometimes you've had heart-wrenching things, but thank you for still loving, still being here, and still having faith that humanity will get to evolve and rise up.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that reminder. Please give all your animals a hug for us. And I know we get to see them sometimes on your social media platforms. So if anyone's starting to follow you now, you'll get to see them. But yes, thank you again so much. And I will just do our sign off. Thank you, healer, for being here with us. And I wish you so much joy and serendipity on your healing journey. And I know our paths will cross again. In today's episode, we talked about hummingbirds and we talked about signs from loved ones who have passed away. If you want to hear more about those things, I recommend going back to season 1 and listening to an episode called The Hummingbirds Way. Or recently in season 2, we had an episode all about signs from loved ones after they pass called Whispers from the Spirit World. If you enjoyed today's episode, I know you will also enjoy those ones as well.